My name is Julie Allball, and I will be your host for Ohio Weddings. We will share leading tips and information from leading wedding experts. And we will share real weddings from Ohio couples. I'm Julie Allball, and I'm from Ohio Weddings. Today I'm here with Jan Kish. Jan Kish, what is your company name?
Jan Kish, La Petite Fleur.
Well, thanks so much for coming today.
Our pleasure.
Yes. Can you tell me how you got involved with, cakes and desserts? How did you get involved in all this?
It was a Hungarian background that did it, I think, that got me that far. Actually, my background has nothing to do with any of this. I have a degree in English from Oxford in England, and I worked in surgery at Ohio State for 10 years, so now I'm clogging coronaries, right? But I think I played with my peas too long, and this is what happened.
So how long have you been involved in making cakes?
I hate to say anymore, but 33 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is. We have people who we've christened, who we've done little first birthday cakes for, and now they're getting married, and it's like, oh my.
Wow. Now, you're based out of Worthington?
Well, Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. Now, some of your cakes have been featured in some major magazines and other media. Can you tell us about some of that?
Well, we've been very fortunate. We've been on the Today Show, Good Morning America, the Food Network, TLC, In Style Magazine, Modern Brides, Gourmet. Thank God the list is endless.
Well, that is a good thing to say,
yes.
I think, and fantastic that you've had all those accomplishments. Now, can you tell us as far as the trends this year with cakes that you're seeing?
Trends. Anything is possible. If you look to the right, this is a sort of Chihuly-esque cake. We call it Chihuly once removed. Now, we've done that in a much larger version to actually match the Chihuly in the museum and at the conservatory. So this cake has been done a few times, only much larger, and then we did it this Christmas where we did 165 of the little tiny ones on top for an event. So that was entertaining for a while. But then on New Year's Eve, we did a cake that was, the girl's nickname was Panda. So we did a panda, and then the guy was really into wombats. So we had a panda and a wombat. Too
wow.
Cute. So anything is happening, and it's wonderful when the client brings us ideas that we can, make it very personal for them. Mm-hmm. As opposed to saying, oh, I want that one. Model A, and we want to do Model Z.
Mm-hmm. Now, do customers, when they come to you, do they come with pictures as far as ideas? Is that what some of them do when they come to you?
A lot of times now with the internet, Pinterest, which I'm sure you're familiar with, they will come with a whole host of data, which we didn't have before. Was now the client is giving to us as opposed to us giving to them. And in some ways that's good, in some ways it's not so good, because it doesn't allow me the freedom to create as much as before. But when you're dealing with pandas and wombats, I mean, what can you do?
Well, when you're creating cakes for bridal shows, you have more control. What kinds of things inspire you to make cakes?
There are all kinds of things. Architecturally, buildings, flowers, a crack in the sidewalk, which is true. Anything you look out there, I feel like I have glasses on that when anything comes through those glasses, they get filtered into cake. Mm-hmm. I look at your sweater and I see the ruffles coming down and I think, oh, cake. So mm-hmm. Anything's game.
Mm-hmm. All right. I know you brought several different cakes with you today. You want to go ahead and explain some of these other cakes that you brought in?
Sure. Well, like I said, that's our sort of Chihuly once removed. And that, to me, looks like a party waiting to happen. Just so much fun. So for birthdays and anything going on. This cake I call the Peony Explosion. And this has been done in all kinds of colors. So regardless of what color you're working in, and the color gives it a whole different tone, whether it's all white or here we have salmon, the salmon, orange, peaches. That's one of the colors of this year, that last year and this year. Coming on this year is gold.
Yes.
So you're going to see a lot of gold, moving away from more of the rhinestones, but just having accents here and there. So this is hand molded flowers with 24 karat gold leaf painted over them. So sometimes they can get a little pricey. It depends on how crazy you want to get. But this is very elegant but very simple and monotones. And then you go to something like this and it changes the whole feel of the wedding.
That's very beautiful. Now, do you want to go ahead and we go on over here?
Sure.
And you can explain some of these cakes.
This is a damask cake. And all the cakes you see here are the rolled fondant. May I tell you about that?
Sure.
Okay, because a lot of people have misgivings about it. If you've had a chocolate dipped strawberry, the strawberry goes into fondant and then it goes into chocolate. So you taste the fondant underneath the chocolate, but you don't know that. Pedophores are dipped into fondant, so that glaze. If you've had an opera cream, the creamy center is fondant. And everybody's making it different, so everybody's tastes different. And in Ohio, has a very bad reputation. People say it's hard and cracky and it doesn't taste good. But then it all depends on who's making it, you know, what the product ends out to be. Some of these cakes, the designs can be done on buttercreamed ice cakes or they can be done on fondants. This particular cake here needs to be done on fondant because this is all a hand-painted damask. So to do the hand painting with the food coloring, you need to have a palette to work on. And then the flowers that look as if it's supporting the cake is a piece done by petals and leaves. And I think they've done a wonderful job because it looks like it's suspended. And this ribbon is chocolate.
Now, do you see, as far as colors, the chocolates, and I know you mentioned the golds, what colors do you think are becoming very popular for the cakes?
Well, for the last couple of years, we've had salmon to orange to burnt orange, peaches, all in that range. And now we're going to the golds. For a while it was silver, but silver's dropped. We're coming into the golds. And also teal is coming out very strong. And the spectrum of teals with the blues and the greens. So that is coming on really. And beige and peaches and pinks. Those are what I see as primary, the primary color tones of what's happening.
Now, with this cake here, you told me, I guess this was inspired by a wedding dress?
Yes, this is from an Amsel gown, which was very gorgeous, very heavy. And the base of the gown was all the petal rosettes, and the top was all ruching. And so we worked off of that. And it's hard to tell, but this cake actually is petal shaped, which matches the rosettes, the petals in the dress. So this is all fondant, and all of this is done with a pizza cutter and a pizza wheel. So it's like very time consuming. And all of these are, it's like you roll out little, we call them snakes, and roll them out very thin, and then you just keep putting it around and around and around.
So how many hours would you say would take you to do a cake like this?
Too many.
I can imagine. I really can.
I call this one of our slit your wrist cakes. But it takes, it takes forever. People don't understand the amount of time that goes into it. The longest we've ever spent on one cake is 4.5 months.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you do all the things that are not the actual edible cake in those months leading up to right at the end. So very time consuming.
Yeah. Now, I've been told that you have actually flown in cakes. Can you tell me how that works?
It works in a lot of different ways. We fly cakes United Airlines. They can go by themselves. Very interesting thing about that is that the pilots carry them on and off the planes, so they never hit a conveyor belt, which is something to be concerned about. And they also go in a special cargo hold that has temperate climate. So if the cakes are going by themselves, that's how they go. Sometimes the client will have me go out to wherever and we'll make the cake there. Sometimes I will take parts of it and go with it. Last year we went down to St. Lucia and I took certain parts of the cake and we put it together after we got there. One time we went out to Dunton Hot Springs, Colorado, which is in nowhere, about 14,000 feet up. And every time I got an email from the coordinator, there was another difficulty. It's like, make sure you get an SUV. The last hour and a half is rock bed road. And then it's like, well, can we put it in air conditioning when we get there? No air conditioning, only fans. And it's like, oh my gosh. So every time I talked to her, it was another thing that you had to consider. But it came out great. So
That's very interesting.
yeah, I get to see the kitchens of the world.
Yes, you
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Definitely. Well, you want to tell us about this last cake here?
Well, this is right. I left this out. The primary colors on this obviously are gray and yellow, and that's two big colors over these last 2 years going into this next year. Also the gray and the yellows. So you'll see a lot of that. And then this is an impression of a partial flower. And so we use a mat to make that. And this is all sugar work also. Everything that you see on these, except for the flowers that petals and leaves have done, is all sugar and all edible.
Wow. Well, do you want to go ahead and let's talk about what sabering is?
Okay, savoring. If you look on our website, it will say savor the moment. So that's my English coming out. But savoring is a tradition that dates back to Napoleon. It is the art of opening a champagne bottle with a saber. And when a new man was brought into the regiment, he was given 3 bottles of champagne, 3 hours, 3 willing women, and a 20-mile course to traverse. And he had to do this economically, time-wise, as possible. So they would savor on horseback. Veuve Clicquot, champagne that is still a contemporary, she was a contemporary of Napoleon. When she would have big parties at her home, she would give the soldiers bottles of champagne while they were on horseback. So it's a little hard to negotiate this. So they would open them with their sabers. So we're going to do this and maybe redecorate here. I'm going to take the cage off of the bottle. And I've gotten to wearing gloves lately because I've done a couple of stupid things of my own. Not with any clients, but by myself. So now, now we wear gloves. And I tell people that if it doesn't work, it's because I'm Hungarian and not French. This is my out. So here we go. Anybody in that area, if you would please move, it would be really a great idea. I would appreciate that. And this saber, which is fabulous, is made by Christophe, very old French company, and every year they do a different piece for their museum, and for the millennium they did the saber. So it's a beautiful piece. So here we go. Woo!
Wow, Jan, that was a wonderful demonstration. Well, can you tell us now where they can find more information about your company?
If you go to www.jankish.com, you'll get there straight away. And we also have a Facebook page.
Oh, fantastic. Now we'll be back with more Ohio weddings.
Entertainment Unlimited Events, the leader in event decor. So much to do. Planning your wedding can be overwhelming. This is your day, and we are ready to assist you in any and every way we can to make this a day to remember. We customize our decor to fit your style and vision, be it traditional elegance or the latest trend. Entertainment Unlimited Events is the leader in wedding decor and event planning. Weddings in the Hocking Hills were dazzling Beauty Mary's extraordinary locations. Ohio's Hocking Hills offers rehearsal dinner, wedding, and reception sites wrapped in breathtaking natural splendor. There are sparkling waterfalls as gorgeous as a bridal veil. Your free Hocking Hills wedding planning kit is waiting for you. Visit www.1800hocking.com/weddings or call 1-800-HOCKING.
And we're back with more Ohio weddings, and today I'm with Stephanie Via Hagar with Entertainment Unlimited Events, and today we're going to talk about some of the design trends that we're seeing. Now, what have you been seeing this year?
Well, what I've really seen a lot of is that couples are trying to tie together the overall style of their wedding in every aspect, from the backdrop to the cake backdrop to the invitations. Often we custom design a backdrop for a couple, and when we do that, we actually give them the graphics so that they can incorporate their napkins, they can incorporate their invitations. I mean, they can even put the design on their place cards, their cake, really whatever they want to use it for, but they're making it very cohesive, and it then reflects their personality.
Well, when we were talking with Jan earlier, she customized the cake for the dress. So, I mean, you literally could do that as well.
I actually did that many years ago. We literally took the dress to the cake maker, and we followed the ruffle. Jan's cakes were amazing.
Yes, yeah. Now, what are some of the other things that you see that are emerging?
Something that is really hot right now is lighting. Lighting can change the overall appearance of a room. Everything from pin spotting each table to color washing the room. It's just amazing, and we can do such a beautiful job with it. We can turn a barn into a beautiful ballroom.
Yeah. Now, sometimes those classic styles just kind of never go away. What do you see that being this year?
I have to tell you, I've been doing this for 17 years, and in the time that I've been doing it, something that has never changed is that girls always love the head table backdrops and the ceiling swagging. I have young ladies look for a venue that can accommodate the ceiling swagging. They don't want to go there if they can't have the ceiling swagging, and that's never gone out of style. I'd say it's classic because it's just classically romantic and elegant.
Now, we saw Jan Kish, her cakes. Now, you have something that can showcase some of the cakes?
Absolutely. I think so often the cakes are magnificent and they get pushed to the end of the wedding. And what I try to do is I create a backdrop for the cake that matches the head table backdrop, but it's smaller. And I recommend that the bride and groom feature the cake cutting right after they do their formal introduction. The cake doesn't get taken away, but it creates a beautiful time for friends, guests to come up and take a photograph of them. It creates a beautiful photo for their wedding album. The cake gets to be appreciated and enjoyed. It's focused on, I mean, the kind of cakes that I'm seeing in weddings now, they're works of of art. They're not just a cake. So you want that to be featured. So I feature it by creating a backdrop that matches their head table backdrop, and I find that a lot of the couples I work with think it's one of the most beautiful pictures they have in their album.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because a lot of times, sometimes cakes are not put in the right place in the room necessarily, and sometimes you need that backdrop to hide something.
I agree completely. I mean, so often I do backdrops to feature the focal point, to really draw the attention to the bride and groom, because basically what I do is I put decor where the couple's going to be photographed. I want them to get the most for their money out of every aspect of their event. So I look at where are they going to be photographed. Well, they're going to be photographed at their head table. And if you lay the room out like I suggest, which is your head table, your dance floor, every big picture, their first dance, father-daughter, mother-son, is going to take place on that dance floor, and then the photographer is going to shoot back toward the head table backdrop. Even if it's not in focus, it creates just a fabulous ambiance, and it makes the most of their photographs. I also love to do the cake table backdrop. I feel like that cakes are beautiful, and that they so often get pushed to the end of the night that not only do they not get eaten because they aren't cut and served at the appropriate time, but that people don't see how beautiful they are. So I like to feature them. I also like to put decor at the entry, because I can tell you from my wedding, one of my favorite pictures is my husband and myself walking in the room, and just that look when our friends and family were clapping for us and how exciting it was. And so I would rather see beautiful decor around that than a big old red exit sign.
Exactly.
And, it just makes all the difference in the world. So I try to make everything we do with the decor fit the overall needs of the bridal couple synergistically with the other vendors, so that it features every aspect of their wedding.
Now, what as far as the vintage look, what have you seen with that?
Well, you know what I find is we have, I don't get a lot of specific questions for vintage, but I want people want classic. They want beautiful. And I have these beautiful, elegant, Art Deco themed backdrops that just are stunning. And when someone says they want vintage, what I find is they really want classic. And it ties together so beautifully. You cannot go wrong with these beautiful luminary walls. They're classically elegant.
Well, I think that's why Pinterest is so important, because they may communicate one thing, but if you see it on Pinterest, you can find out what style they really want.
It's absolutely true. And one of the things I do is I'll get young ladies that come to me with like 5 or 6 different styles on their Pinterest page. And I will sit with them and I will go over between the styles they've picked, the photos in my album, maybe some pictures from wedding magazines, and say, what do you really like? Let's narrow down. Tell me what your favorite is. So we go to their favorite, and then I go, tell me what your second favorite is. And we narrow it down, and what I find is that their style tends to be modern, and then we look at that area of photographs, or it tends to be classic, or it tends to be romantic. And then they've put a few pictures on there that don't match at all, so we just get rid of those. And we actually narrow it down so that their event becomes the classic, tasteful event they want it to be. They could have gone to a justice of the peace to get married. They decided to have a beautiful reception and invite their guests. So because of that, I want them to get the most for their money out of every aspect of their event. And we want to tie it together. We want it to all match. And I don't mean matchy-matchy, but I want it to have the same style. And ultimately, that's what they want too. They want it to be elegant. They want it to be tasteful. And it works out really well, because that location with all of those pictures actually, in some ways, I mean, I joke and say I hate Pinterest. I don't hate Pinterest. I hate that it has too many things to help, that if girls don't get to someone like me, they aren't able to narrow it down, and then they have a million different things going on at their event, which isn't always great looking. This way, once they get to me and they can show it to me, I can help them narrow it down.
Now, for them to get more information, where would we go to your website?
They can absolutely go to my website, and my website is www.entertainmentunlimitedevents.com, or they can also contact me at Stephanie@entertainmentunlimitedevents.com.
Well, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that's the end of our show, and now we go on to our real wedding.
So first, to my parents, Mom and Dad, I would like to thank you for spoiling me rotten my entire life. It's been pretty nice my entire life. It's been pretty nice. My father, he taught me to be tough and look at the big picture in life, and for that I thank him. Mom, you taught me to be kind, thoughtful, and the importance of caring for others, and Amanda thanks you for that. To my new family, Liz and Mark, you guys have always been nothing but kind to me. Liz, you may be the kindest person I've ever known. Mark, it wasn't until after dating your daughter for 8 years and your next-door neighbor thought that I was the little Italian boy that came over and did yard work. I realized that you were playing me this entire time. And lastly, for my beautiful wife, in 7th grade, you were the cute soccer player with long legs that thought she knew how to play sports. In 10th grade, you were the hot girl that talked to me and laughed at my jokes. In 11th grade, I fell in love, and our senior year, you finally gave me a shot. I always felt that there was something truly special about you, and here we are today. I spent the last 8 years of my life with one wish in the back of my mind, and today that wish came true. I love you. So I'd like to propose a toast to family, to friends, and to my better half.
To be true to you.
In good times and in bad.
In good times and in bad.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health.
I will love you and honor you.
I will love you and honor you.
All the days of your life.
All the days of your life. Yeah, I'll be staying.